Welcome in.
Where are we going? What quip are we doing?
We are quipping with the fact that I'm Devin and that's Zane, and this is Buffet Sports,
He's
baby.
quipping and I'm corping on him.
This is Buffet Sports, and it's all you can eat when we're talking about sports. We're starting off.
Uh, yeah. Okay, good morning, afternoon, and evening. It's the guy you should believe in. Dropping heat like every season. Underdog like Willie Beeman. Classic like Dom singing. Blasting like bombs ringing.
I'm quipping, you're corping, and it's all you can eat, baby.
All right. We're starting off in the great. Well, I don't know about great, but we're starting off in LA. All right.
We're
We're starting off
starting
with
off in the city of angels.
the City of Angels. We're starting
Lucifer
off in
Lucifer was also an angel. So, I would say I mean, correlation there for sure.
we're starting off in Los Angeles with the Lakers. JJ Redick just got hired by the Lakers with a 4-year deal. I don't remember the money, but it
A
was a
40-year
bag
deal.
nonetheless. I think it was more. I want to say it was more per year than he probably made as a player, but I'm probably wild in there. If it is, I'll throw it here or something
Is
like
that
that.
normal?
Um,
Coaches make more than players. Normal.
no, but he was a role player. So it's kind of to be expected. And you're now the coach of the Lakers. I'll have to double check it. I'll fact check it to see what was the peak of what he made in the NBA.
You unprofessional piece of garbage. You
But
dare not fact check yourself before we start this? What is this?
absolutely not.
Rookie hour?
Uh, but let's start. Let's start with JJ Redick. Okay. Um, he was hired, the Lakers hired JJ Redick earlier this week to a 4-year deal. There's a couple pieces to this. The first part is that a lot of people are saying the Lakers, this hiring cycle was just a mess. I don't personally get it. So that's part one. We'll get to that in a second. Let's start, though, with the fact that JJ Redick is just 6 months older than LeBron James.
Oh, I'm perfectly standing in JJ Redick's spot. That's crazy. Let me get out of the way.
Um, JJ Redick is 6 months older than LeBron James. They're both 39 years old.
Looks like a lobster right here.
They're
Jesus.
both 39 years old as of June 23rd. By the time the video comes out, JJ will be 40. He turns 40 tomorrow, the 24th, actually. So
Happy
happy
early
birthday.
birthday, JJ.
Happy early
Happy early
birthday,
birthday.
JJ.
This is probably the only podcast that likes you, by the way. That's because I am white and Devin is half white. Not a lot of sports podcasts. I guess naturally, no. There's a
No,
lot of
it's the
sports pod.
exact
Yeah, it's the
opposite.
opposite.
But I'm not hating. Anyways, they started. Let's go through the timeline here. So to start off with, like I said, JJ is only 6 months older than LeBron James. He was drafted in the 06-07 draft. LeBron surprisingly was drafted in the 03-04 draft. So a couple years before JJ, but they've been in LeBron's been in the league for 20 plus years.
Yeah, I was
JJ
2 when he got into the league.
JJ not quite. JJ didn't make it to 20. I think that would be what, 16, something like that. It was a long time either way, but LeBron has clearly played longer than him. He's just barely younger than him. So that's a weird dynamic to start off with, being that your coach is barely older than you and you're contemporary.
Well, I
Um,
think the idea is if LeBron James stays on the Lakers, the idea is that LeBron James is the assistant coach, basically, who has power to take over and do what a head coach would do, except for all of the things that go into being a head coach is not on his shoulders. I think that would be the dynamic, no?
Say that again.
I think the dynamic for LeBron James and JJ Redick, if LeBron stays on the Lakers, is
Mhm.
that LeBron essentially is the assistant coach for this team
Mm.
who has the power to overrule the head coach, except for now LeBron doesn't have all the excess work that is needed to be a head coach. I
I
think
see what
that's the
you're
dynamic that
saying.
they're going for is that LeBron's in control, but just for like the big things. Like he just says, I want to do this. He doesn't have to like put things into motion.
Yeah, I think that there's some validity to that, but more so, I think that, and this goes to how I was going to kind of go through this with the timeline. 3 months ago, almost to the day, JJ Redick and LeBron James started the Mind the Game podcast. And that's where this whole coaching interview to me started. And it
Great
was very
podcast.
clear that they were on the same page from the get-go. They look at basketball the same way, and they are clearly both highly just know the game to a very high degree. LeBron probably obviously higher than JJ, just being the way that he controls the game on the floor and that he's been in the league
We
this
don't
long.
know that.
Um,
LeBron James in his career has been uh, is finagler the right word? A
I
man
don't
who
know what your
finagles.
I don't know what your point is here, but
My point
um,
that I am assuming is that LeBron James says a lot of that isn't true, and he likes to make himself a lot smarter than he actually is. Have you seen the books that he's constantly reading, and he's always stuck on the first page?
he's a basketball player, not a professor,
Did you
bro.
see the
That's
video
not my.
where
I
he
don't
said
care.
in the fifth grade he was able to flip a play, but then there was another video coming out that said that he started basketball in the eighth grade? Did you see that video?
I no, I didn't. I Either
I'll,
way, I
he's
don't
a
really
finagler.
care. I don't really care. He's clearly a I mean, he's if not the best player of all time, top 3. I don't really care if he gets his when he started playing basketball wrong. It's the point is with this is we watched the whole coach we watched the whole interview essentially of JJ and LeBron. The question from here I think is obviously are they going to continue the pod, because that's very interesting if they're going to continue it while
Oh yeah.
playing. Um but more so with JJ specifically, are the Lakers going to be patient enough to give JJ time to be great? Because there's a lot that goes into being the head coach beyond just coaching the game. Practices have to be effective. You have to know, when to rest your guys, when not to rest your guys. You have to be aware of the schedule itself when you have back to backs, when you have long road trips. All these things are going to be a part of the head coaching job. And if anyone can do it, obviously it's a former player. They understand it because they lived it, especially in the modern era. But how will he adjust to that? Because, yes, to your point, what I was going to give you credit for was that you're right in the fact that LeBron he's a coach. He's a coach on the floor and in the huddle. And so he's going to take a lot of that weight off of JJ in terms of actually coaching, because they're already on the same page and LeBron knows where JJ's going. And so it's going to be a lot of like JJ calls a timeout, they get to the huddle, and LeBron's already on what JJ wants. And then JJ just gets to reiterate it. What his job is going to be is, I think, primarily understanding lineups. They've got a big offseason in terms of, free agency and how they're going to rebuild the team around what JJ's ideology is. And obviously, LeBron's going to have probably the most control because they're going to be together thinking through this whole thing, um, than probably ever, I would say. And then obviously, just how the regular season plays out. If they're going to be patient with JJ, if he's going to be able to handle the controversy. He's also he's very active online. So how will he deal with people criticizing him for a bad timeout or a bad play call or a bad OTA, uh, out of timeout adjustment,
I have a little question.
those sort of things.
What would you say? Because you talked about they both know the direction that they're going. What would you say the direction that they're going is? What can we see from this dynamic going forward in the next season? What kind of basketball are they going to try to implement and play?
Oh, well, one thing that I have written down here is it's funny because they're the same age. I feel like they should have played together rather than JJ coaching him, because JJ's a perfect fit for LeBron. When you really look at it and what LeBron wants, JJ would have been, I'm sure, not like life changing for LeBron, but if you swap JJ in for J.R. Smith for a lot of those years when he was on the Cavs, I wonder what the difference would be, because there was moments where J.R. Smith really, you know, over finals, they so on
You
and so
know,
forth. I don't need to really,
smoke too many blunts before the
yeah,
game.
I don't need to go into it too much. I wonder about that. thinking about this now as he's his head coach. But what kind of style are they going to play? I think JJ is going to really lean into the cerebral part of it and really lean into all the things that they talk about in the podcast. That's like the obvious stuff that we see from coaches. Like Ty Lue was really good at this, was really good at leaning into the obvious stuff. I think JJ will do the same thing,
The
if
small
not to a
things.
no, the obvious stuff. The stuff that's like LeBron talks about a lot of times. I don't know why you run a play and it works and then you switch the play. Just run the play till it
Yes.
doesn't work. That kind of where
Mm.
it's like JJ is just gonna like because they're on he's a former player and a recent player at that. It's not like he's 20 years removed where he's like, I've had all this basketball knowledge and time to and JJ's I know what works. I was there. I had to play against LeBron. So I'm going to lean into everything that we know works. And I'm going to lean into the lineups that just make sense because he's a player, not a coach. He's not coached in any relevant way beyond his son's AAU team that's like sixth graders
Mm-hmm.
up to this point. So I think there's going to be a really rudimentary and simple way of play where it's just put the ball in LeBron's hands, let him create, hopefully probably grab some other creators, second and third guys beyond Anthony Davis and to play off of. I think Austin Reeves will have a bigger role, but mostly this is going to be simple basketball. And I think that's what LeBron is best at, where it's just like, let me just play. Let me see,
Yeah.
let me take everything in because he's very good at court mapping. He's very good at in the moment analysis. Let me take everything in that's going on and let me adjust everything. And then when we call timeouts, when we get to halftime, we can make adjustments and do those sort of things. But I think JJ's going to let things play.
Mm-hmm.
And what JJ's role is going to be is managing the game, managing the flow, managing obviously the minutes of players and everything. It's going to be a lot of managing rather than coaching, I think, depending on, the tenure of the team as a whole that's in the league. If they get a lot of cerebral and veteran guys, then it'll be more of that. If it's the opposite, where there's a lot of young guys like there is on the team right now, JJ is going to do a lot of teaching. But in games, it's going to be a lot of just managing things.
So they are going to go more with let the players play, let the ballers ball, the people that are hot, let them continue that hot streak. One question is this a system that many other coaches use? And has it been effective in the NBA so far? This idea of going very simple. If a play works, let's run it till it doesn't. If a guy is hot, let's give him the ball until he is not hot. Is that something that has shown to be effective in the NBA?
To be completely honest with you, I don't think anyone's really done it outside of Steve Kerr and the Warriors. Like, there's a clear, and we talk about this all the time. It's a point that I harp on all the fucking time: hierarchy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the Warriors have a hierarchy. If and the way it goes, at least when I'm talking about prime Warriors, was the first three shots are going to Clay. If they go in, you give Clay the ball, and that's it. Like, you give Clay the ball until he misses. If those first three shots don't go in and he's not hot, then obviously it's Curry until otherwise,
Yeah.
right? Until he completely cools off. I think it's going to be outside of that team. I can't think of a team that's just simply like, just do what works. I can't, because there's a lot of ego, and that's the ego is the enemy of success, flat out. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that JJ's smart enough, and being that it's going to be his first year coaching and that he was in the league and he understands the greatness of all these players and so on and so forth. I think he's smart enough to actually just let it rock. And I don't think we've seen that a ton. Obviously, where his brilliance is going to show is the out of timeout plays, the out of timeout adjustments, the mid game X factor moves that he makes, where it's like, we're going to make this switch on defense and that kind of stuff. The little things is what he's going to make switches on, but for the large part, he's going to let it rock. And I think I think that's, we haven't seen a lot of that.
Bringing it back to the beginning of this conversation, you talked about letting JJ develop as a coach, or are the LA Lakers fans in the organization going to let him have a couple years. Is it different between the NBA and the NFL? Because if a coach signs for 4 years in the NFL, basically they're there for 4 years. Is it different that in the NBA, if you're not good for 2 years and you're signed for 4 years, they're cutting you at 2 years?
Oh, it's not even a year. Like in the
So
NFL,
contracts aren't as like serious as in the NFL.
no. No. I mean, we see coaches in the NFL sometimes get fired if they're, but they're really bad. Like they've got to be
Yeah.
really bad. The team's got to be really bad. Um, and I think coaching matters more in the NFL anyways. Um, there's a lot of coaches, like for example, there's a coach, Monty Williams. He was the coach of the Suns when they made their finals run. And then he got fired afterwards. And then he was the coach of the Detroit Pistons, and they were so bad. They lost, like, I think it was a record setting 28 games in a row this year.
Oof.
He got fired. And he got paid like 100 million or something crazy like that. And they fired him. So
what I'm getting from this, NBA really contracts however long it is, because a lot of NFL guys, they'll get paid money, but they really want that contract to be extended because they will be on that team for longer. But in the NBA, it's really not the same way as what I'm getting. It's that if you get signed for 4 to 6 years, it just depends on how you play. It's not actually that you're there for 4 to 6 years.
no, and that's no, not at all. The only difference I would say is you're pretty much in the NBA, you're guaranteed a year. Like you're going to get through the whole year. But outside of that, you're not guaranteed anything. And especially when it's the Lakers job. They've gone through like four in the years that LeBron has been there, I think they've gone through a coach every year or close to it.
Do they not have salary cap or cap penalties? Like, why
For
is it that?
coaches?
Yeah,
No.
I guess that's probably the same in the NFL, right?
Yeah, no, coaches doesn't hit the salary
Yeah.
cap. In the NBA though, because it's such a star-driven league, they give you about a year. Rarely do you get a team that's bought in a front office that's bought in on, like, we're gonna suck. Like we might suck and this might be a rough 2 years, but they'll be
Yeah.
like there's gonna be stuff to come out of it.
The only
For
one I can think of
example,
is the Sixers.
no.
No,
They
there's
aren't.
this whole thing with Joel where Joel had an actual like saying where it was like during the rebuild or something. I don't know
Trust the
fully, but
process. That
trust
has
the
nothing to do with the
process, definitely.
coaches. That's with the players. No, the team, oddly enough, is my team is doing this right now. We've committed to who was the youngest coach in the league until Joe Mazzulla, I believe. We've committed to him and we're going to stick with him. And I think he's a really great coach. And we're on year 2 now. We've still been bad, but that's a small market team. The point is here, they're going to surround JJ with a great coaching staff in year 1 and going to give him every chance possible to be great. But the reality is he's never coached in any meaningful way. He's never been on the bench. Like he's never been an assistant coach. He hasn't coached in high school, college, nothing. So it's a real toss up. It's a potential move. And with some of the pushback I think that the Lakers have given to LeBron and sort of looking towards the future with some of their moves they've made in the last, year or so, I think that they will be patient with JJ, especially because I think LeBron definitely wants him there. This isn't a Darvin Ham where it's like, well, this is the best we could find, and LeBron was okay with it, so we'll put him here. This is like LeBron loves this guy. Uh,
Yeah.
in my opinion, I think he's excited about this. I think this is, if it wasn't going to be Dan Hurley, the UConn coach, that was like number one. And then JJ Redick was like, we have this option.
So the video of LeBron meeting with the Sixers front office, we can throw that out the window. He just wanted a nice dinner.
Who?
LeBron James. There was a video going around that he was meeting with the Sixers, the
Oh, no.
76ers.
I don't think there's any validity.
Throw that one out.
Yeah, I don't think
Just
so.
a nice little dinner paid by the Sixers.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Alrighty.
I don't think so.
Now,
But heading out from LA, we're going to move up to San Francisco and talk about Brandon Aiyuk and the possibility of him leaving the 49ers, not under his own will because he's not a free agent, but via trade. Obviously, the Niners have a myriad of amazing players, and the question is always, well, they're going to run into the salary cap eventually, and
And we're
who's going to be
seeing
the
it.
guy to go? And
Yep.
it looks like Brandon Aiyuk is that guy. There was a video about a week ago where Brandon Aiyuk was saying to Jaden Daniels on FaceTime, they don't want me. They don't want me here. And there's looks to be some validity to that. It
The
appears that he might be on the
relationship
trading block.
the relationship with him and Jaden Daniels is very interesting because this is not the first time. This is the second time we have seen him on FaceTime with Jaden Daniels talking about him potentially moving. What I do want to bring up is Adam Schefter went on. I don't know what platform he went on, but he said that this is completely not true. The San Francisco 49ers want him there. They just don't want him for the number that Brandon Aiyuk wants to be there. Which
means they don't want him.
That is exactly my thoughts. My thoughts when I saw that, I was like, can we cut out this news political right now?
For real.
Can we cut that out, please? Oh, we want this guy. We just don't want to pay him the amount of money that he wants him. Okay, let's just cut that all out. Let's go to a yes or no scenario. Do you want Brandon Aiyuk? No, because you go. Do you want Juan Jennings? Yes, because you paid him. Do you want Chris McCaffrey? Yes. Do you want Nick Bosa? Yes. Do you want Deebo Samuel? Yes. Do you want Brandon Aiyuk? Well, maybe only if he just takes less money. So it's a no. You do not want him there. I really did not like that point by Adam Schefter saying they want him there, just not for the same amount of money. That means you don't want him there because you do not believe that he has enough value to pay him the amount of money that he deserves. And you think Juan Jennings can do his job. That's what I'm thinking. So the question is now, where in the hell is Brandon Aiyuk going to go?
Well, there is a rumor, and I saw it today. I don't know if I've been living under a rock, but apparently there's a rumor that the Broncos are in the Niners' ear. Pause.
Talking all sweet to him?
Yeah, talking sweet.
Hello,
Allegedly,
baby, let me whisper in your ear. Let me tell you something that you really want to hear.
Allegedly, a deal that's possibly on the table is Cortland Sutton in a second for Brandon Aiyuk. I personally, as a Broncos fan, was hyped when I saw this. I don't know if there's really validity to it. I don't know if that's actually the trade package. It feels like they need more than that, but at the same time, Cortland Sutton's coming off a really good year and he could be even better in the Niners system. And a second round pick is a pretty damn good pick.
Yeah. The problem is, what in the hell do the 49ers need right now? Besides a route running. Yeah, besides a route running, but they paid Juan Jennings because they believe that Juan Jennings can be that red zone target.
I don't think so, because I think they think Juan Jennings can take over Brandon Aiyuk's role. What Cortland Sutton is a purebred red zone target. I did a video about it a couple weeks ago. Of his, I think it was like 12 touchdowns, 10 of them were in the red zone. So he's a certified red zone target. And you have Deebo and Brandon Jennings, or Deebo and Juan Jennings for between the 20s. And then you have Christian McCaffrey and Cortland Sutton for inside the 20. Yeah. So, and then George Kittle. We keep forgetting about George Kittle too. Yeah, they've got him.
George Kittle's he's a little sneaky guy. He's just like, no, I'm just a blocking guy. I really love blocking. Then he breaks it for 50. Right. Like he's a very sneaky little tight end.
For the Broncos, it's a huge win, and for the Niners, I think it's a win as well because for the same reason they want Brandon Aiyuk, but they don't want him for that number.
Yeah.
What number they want to give Brandon Aiyuk, they can give to Cortland Sutton.
Yeah,
because he's looking for a contract that's going to be better. He's looking for not an extension, but more money, guaranteed money in his contract, but not crazy amounts.
Mhm.
And that number fits what the Niners want. The Broncos are willing to shell out the money. We've got the owners that are willing to shell out the money. The problem is Cortland Sutton's too damn old, but Brandon
Yeah.
Ayuk isn't. So
Yeah, that is true.
it kind of works perfectly for both sides. And on the Broncos side, Brandon Ayuk, Marvin Mims, you've got Lil Jordan Humphrey, Troy Franklin, Bo Nix, you've got all the running backs. Like, it just makes sense. You give him his number one option, Bo Nix's number one option, and then you just see what happens.
And correct me if I'm wrong. I think Brandon Ayuk is very much a Michael Thomas. So I think a Sean Payton would really like a Brandon Ayuk on his team when he is running
What do you
this
mean by he's a
offense.
Michael Thomas? Because I think that's an insult
What's it for who? Who for who?
for
Who's
Brandon Ayuk.
for okay, bro, you have this weird thing in your brain where you think Michael Thomas is trash or was trash. Michael Thomas was a very great player during his prime. He was a terrific route runner, if I'm not mistaken. I could be mistaken, but either way, he was a great wide receiver. That I am not mistaken about. He was a great wide receiver, and you for some reason think that he was ass.
Was he that good though? Like, I can't remember Michael Thomas being like a dog
He was the number one. He was the number one on the Saints with
for
Drew
Drew
Brees.
Brees.
Yes, with Drew Brees, he was the number one.
I'll take your word for it. I just don't remember it. I
I
just don't
just
remember
love
it.
I love spreading misinformation so much. I have no idea if Michael Thomas was on the team when Drew Brees was on the team, but there's something clicking in my body that says he was.
I'm gonna look this up because I don't believe you.
I love spreading misinformation. I
Oh
love
no,
just gambling
he
and going with
no,
it.
okay, he was a dog. What the
Yes.
fuck?
Oh, yes. That is something that I did not spread misinformation about. Thomas
2016,
was a dog.
2016, 1100 yards, 2017, 1200 yards, 2018, 1400 yards, 2019, 1700 yards,
Yeah.
149 receptions, 9 touchdowns, and then 2020, 400 yards. So he just dropped off a cliff.
I think he got hurt. I want to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
think
want to
so.
say
That
he got
sounds
hurt,
right.
but that is the thing. You're getting somebody who has. I want to say he was a great route runner, just like Brandon.
But
Ayuk.
how big is he? Because I think the body comp is not accurate. I think Brandon Ayuk is 6'3", 212.
And that's right now, isn't it?
Yeah. 6', 200.
Oof. Brandon Ayuk's only 6 foot.
Yeah, I guess so.
Since when? Anyways, what other team could you see Brandon going to? What other team needs a number one? Because
Also,
that's
this is
what
his
Brandon Ayuk wants to get
also
paid.
Brandon Ayuk is on his is he on his second year in the league? No, 2020. So he's ending his rookie deal. That's why.
Yeah, he's ending his rookie
Um
deal. Because he wants number one money, so he has to go to a place where he is the number one. When we're
Chargers.
talking Chargers could be it. But
Chargers would be nasty. Could you
Yeah.
imagine?
Yeah,
Could
that
you
would be
imagine
nasty.
Justin Herbert? Oh my God.
That would be very nasty. But when we are talking about the relationship with Jaden Daniels, I don't think Washington would pay that amount because they have Terry.
They have
McLaurin.
so many receivers.
Yeah, they have Scary
they have
Terry.
so many receivers.
So what? Who else
Ravens.
needs Ravens? They have Zay Flowers though.
If I have a chance to get Brandon Ayuk, I'll trade Derrick Henry. I'll
Did they-
trade Zay Flowers
Do they have
for
the money?
Brandon Ayuk.
Do they have the money for that? For a number one wide receiver?
Yeah.
I don't know. They have Mark Andrews.
Ship
Mark
him.
Andrews.
I
they,
don't
they
care.
have a great defense. They have Lamar Jackson, who's definitely going to be highly paid.
I'm sure
J.K.
they have
Dobbins
money.
probably had a great contract as well before he.
I don't care. Whatever you got to do, make it happen. If I can give Lamar Jackson, Brandon Ayuk, are you kidding me?
Yeah, that would be a Super Bowl run. What's a team that would fit perfectly though?
Bro, Brandon Ayuk really looks like Mike Tomlin. Speaking of Mike
100%.
Tomlin, the
Yeah.
Steelers.
Oh, the Steelers. Now, bro, we've talked about how crazy Steelers fans are. They think George Pickens is the best wide receiver in the league.
Imagine if we gave him Brandon Ayuk, bro.
I know
He's
that would
Jerry
be
Rice.
crazy. Yeah, that would be crazy.
I'm trying to think of other teams that he could work on. I let's say a
Packers.
world where that's what I was just about to say. Literally,
Packers.
I was literally about to say the
That
Packers.
might
Where
be a Super Bowl run if he goes to the Packers.
yeah, bro, a world where you've got Josh Jacobs and you give up some of the young receivers just to have a, and that would make sense for the Niners too in that kind of trade where you give up some
Yeah.
young receivers that don't cost anything to just hand over to the Niners and you give them Brandon Aiyuk, a true number one. You
Isn't
keep
that
Jaden Reed.
crazy that Brandon Aiyuk is seemingly one of the best wide receivers in the league? He's getting off of his rookie deal. And the San Francisco 49ers are like, well, if he took less money, we would love to have him. Isn't that crazy?
No,
What's crazy about that? Because
I don't think it's. I don't
is
think
he
that that's
not top
crazy.
five?
I don't know. I don't know. I think the reason it's not crazy is because of the Kyle Shanahan offense, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's true.
Because you can you can make anyone look good. Like Jalen Waddle just got paid like some absurd amount of money. And Mike McDaniels is a descendant of the Shanahan offense. Um and Jalen Waddle, like I don't know if Jalen Waddle is like that guy in college, but he looks great in that offense. And I'm sure if you throw him into any other offense, he's just another guy. He's a jag.
You think Debo would be great in any other offense? I saw a video talking about how terrible Debo is at running routes. And the videos that they showed, he absolutely can't run a route to save his life. He is just basically a running
He's
back
just
who's
wandering.
great at catching the ball.
Yeah, bro's just out there running. He's just getting cardio.
Which
Like when it comes
is,
to running
I mean,
routes.
that is a very effective strategy, right? I mean,
Christian
you're
McCaffrey runs better routes though, and he's an actual running back.
Yeah, that is true. I don't. I saw.
There's no excuse. There's no excuse. I'm so tired of people like making excuses for Debo. He doesn't show up in big games. He's always tic-tac hurt, and he doesn't run good routes. Why are we sucking him off? If you put him in any other system, like the most direct comp that I have in my brain is DK Metcalf. If we put DK on the Niners, could you imagine
Oof,
the absolute tyranny he would have on the league?
oof, oof. The timing from Brock Purdy going back.
That's what I'm saying.
That quick. Boom. DK Metcalf catches it. Linebacker from a 5-yard full sprint hits him, bounces off of him like he's a 5-year-old kid, and then he runs for 10 more yards.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if he's only good because he's in the Niner system.
Yeah, the Niner system it's very much, okay. I'm not going to say that. That'll get me a lot of hate. But the Niner system is a very unique offense. It is not the same unique that a mobile quarterback would thrive in. It is a very unique offense to where you need
your quarterback's just a point guard.
Yes, that is what I was going to say without trying to get so much hate. You need a QB who doesn't have the ego that normal QBs have to where
you need a Tom Brady mentality.
Yes, exactly. You need a guy who is willing to take screen passes, willing to let his guys perform.
You don't need an
to
Aaron
win
Rodgers.
Games. Yes, 100%. That is a great way of putting it. You need a Tom Brady. You don't need an Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, you don't need an Aaron Rodgers. You need an Aaron Rodgers in Baltimore. You need an Aaron Rodgers in KC. But you can't.
You need an Aaron Rodgers in Buffalo.
Right, but oh my gosh, could you imagine putting Brandon Aiyuk in Buffalo?
Oh my God, I didn't even think about that.
Dude, with Josh Allen's arm. Oh
yeah.
My God.
He's a deep threat too. That's like his specialist.
He's a better Gabe Davis, like infinitely better.
Yeah, he would be the number
size
one
wise, physicality. Oh my!
Giving flipping Josh Allen, some dude
a big
who's
receiver.
Amazing. Yes,
a big receiver because he's had small.
Foot.
But bit like he's 6 foot 200.
But
he's
is a deep threat.
I know, but to put this in perspective, he's me with 40 more pounds.
Yeah,
that's big.
Yeah, that is pretty big.
That's big as hell.
Yeah.
If you put that,
I can't imagine
Buffalo
having that at night.
Why do you have to do this?
I'm just talking, I'm just yapping, trying to make it my job. Trying to make it my job over here.
No, but in Buffalo, that would be crazy.
Buffalo would be insane. Some loser's gonna say the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah,
Some flipping
I,
loser's gonna put that in the comments. I know it.
I don't know
Yes.
of any. I can't think of any other teams out there. I mean, like obviously, the Bengals would spend their
Obviously,
money
any
probably.
team would improve from
Yeah,
having Brandon Ayuk on their
yeah.
team. That is why it's so surprising that San Francisco was like, yeah, we'll pass on you. We're going to go with Juan Jennings, especially with how young flipping Brandon Ayuk is. He's incredibly young.
I don't know. It's wild to me that there's this that he's actually
Well,
potentially on the
if
move.
you look at it, if you actually deep dive into what this organization is doing, it is the opposite of smart. It is me in the dictionary. That's what it is, what they're doing. What they have
Dane
done is,
Latar.
yes, they have done a Zane Latal. What they have done is that they have just bought every single star player available, and now they are in cap hell to where they can't pay a guy who is young, who has the ability to be a number one receiver, has the ability to be a top 10 wide receiver in the league, and they don't have enough money to pay him what he wants because they have so many other guys on their
That's
team.
why it makes sense to me with the Broncos, bro. We have the richest owners in the NFL.
Yeah. And the San Francisco 49ers, they have to save money for Brock Purdy. They still have not paid Brock
Yeah,
Purdy.
yeah.
That
That's
they
gonna
have to
happen
save a
eventually.
lot of money to be able to pay him. Or, I mean, I put out a clip probably, I think it was like 6 months ago now, that when that contract comes up, I mean, we've seen it. Like, we're all surprised that Brandon Ayuk is not going to be a
Are they
49er.
gonna just try again? Are they
They're
gonna
going to
take their
get rid
chances and
of
try
Brock.
again?
They're going to get rid of Brock.
Where could he go?
He could go a lot of places, but like I
The
said in that
landscape will
clip,
be very different by the time that
yeah,
that pops up. But I'm hoping he comes to the Broncos. That would be huge, just to pair him with Bo Nix, who's just who because Bo Nix is the Brock Purdy archetype.
yeah.
And so it just works, and we'll pay him. He'll stay forever. He'll be a hero. I would love to see it. Oh my gosh, I'd love to see it.
Already,
Blockbuster. All right, so this next segment, we're
we're
not heading
headed
to
to the
anywhere.
internet, the interweb.
There's this little trend going around right now where
It's not a
there's a
trend.
website. It's not well, it will be a trend
Devin's
once we do it.
Devin's an old man, and he was like, "Oh, report cards. This has got to be good. This is awesome. Let's do
It'll
report
be a
cards."
trend after we do it, Zane.
This the report cards show less than you picking out that we should do fan report cards. It shows you very in depth that you're like a fifth grade teacher. That's what you are. You're like, what's your favorite team? What's your favorite this, that? We have little report cards for you.
Basically, what this
You're a
is,
60-year-old man trapped inside a 24-year-old's body.
basically what this is you put in all of your favorite teams from all major sports, and then there's an algorithm that essentially grades what how much you've suffered in your fandom, how much you've enjoyed your fandom, and how loyal you are essentially to your team. And it gives you a grade for a couple different categories here. So we'll start with mine. I'm going to throw it up right here. I'll throw my report card up right here. So my teams, my favorite professional sports teams for the NFL is the Broncos. For the NBA is the Utah Jazz. For the NHL, it is the Los Angeles Kings. And then for the MLB, it is the Cincinnati Reds. To
Dab on the haters.
give a little bit of background to each one. The Broncos, Tim Tebow's what got me into it. Originally, I would say I was a Steelers fan, and then my mom was big into Tim Tebow, so I became
You were
a
a
Broncos
Steelers
fan.
fan.
I was
Let's
a
go
Steelers
back to
fan.
you being a Steelers fan.
I was a
Literally the
Steelers
villain of
fan.
the NFL. You were a
I
fan
was a
of this.
Steelers fan. I was a
Why?
Steelers fan. Troy Polamalu.
I mean, that's actually the only like good reason. If it's like their defense. You know,
Yeah, that defense was lit, bro. Troy
if you
Polamalu was
say
a
if you
dog.
say Ben Roethlisberger, I mean you go to McDonald's and you order 2 Big Macs. You know.
No, it was Troy Polamalu. I loved Troy Polamalu, so I was a Steelers fan to start out with. And I still like now I can't really root for them because they're just I hate them, but in the beginning I was a Steelers fan. And then I became a Broncos fan. The Utah Jazz, I grew up in Utah. I
That's a
played for
lie.
I
He grew up in
played
the
for
Philippines.
I played for the Junior Jazz. In
That's a lie.
Utah, if you play rec, they have a rec league called the Junior Jazz League,
That's
and
a lie.
if you play throughout the whole year, you get nosebleed tickets, one for you and one for a parent to go to a Jazz game. So I went to a
That's a
bunch of
lie.
Jazz games as a little kid. Will you shut the up?
I just want you to stop lying to the 3
Shut
guys
up.
that watch us.
Shut up. Just
I want
shut
you
your
to be
mouth.
honest with them.
Shut up. So I went to a bunch of Jazz games as a kid. I have a ton of good memories from
That's a
it. I
lie.
have bobbleheads, jerseys, all of the above. In the original set that we had, I had Jazz jerseys. Maybe I'll take pictures of them and throw them up here of all the
Yeah, maybe.
Jazz memorabilia
Maybe.
I have.
Maybe he will.
Now I will. Go yourself. Shut up.
He's gonna go pull some pictures off of eBay.
So that's the Jazz. The Los Angeles Kings, the first ever hockey game I turned on was the Kings winning their first championship, I believe, in like 2012. And immediately I bandwagon, I was like, these are my guys. These are my guys. And so I don't really watch hockey too much. You'd think, being that I'm in Denver, I'm an Avalanche fan. I rooted for them in the playoffs last year when they won the chip, but it was but the Kings are my guys. They're back to 2012. I always root for them and I watch their games here and there. For the Reds, I played baseball for 1 year as a child, and
That's a lie.
so I played baseball for 1 year. Our teams in that little league were we use MLB teams and mascots, and we were the Reds. And it just so happened my grandmother actually lives back east in
That's a lie.
Cincinnati. Well, at the time was in Cincinnati.
That's a lie.
And so she sent us she knew some people who were executives in the team. And so they sent us a bunch of stuff. So I was a Reds fan from then on. So that explains my point card. My fandom started in 2011. My first major team I followed was the Jazz in 2011 at 10 years old.
All right, quit the yap and go through your flipping stats.
Championships, B plus. The only the championships we have had are the Kings in 2012 and 2014, the Broncos, I don't remember the exact year, but the Peyton Manning championship, Super Bowl, and that's it. Those are the only championships. So, but nonetheless, it's championships, so I'll take it. Regular season success, C plus. All these teams have been asked. The Reds have been asked for a long time. The Kings, outside of the championship years, have been asked until recently. The Jazz have been asked since John Stockton and Karl Malone left the team. Terrible. Well, I won't say they've been terrible. We had a couple good years, but it hasn't been, anything special. The Broncos, after Peyton Manning, ass. Playoff success goes kind of back to the championships. The Jazz have had a couple playoff runs. The Broncos obviously won a Super Bowl and were in the playoffs a couple different times with Peyton Manning. The Kings have had playoff runs. They're regularly in the playoffs, but they don't really go anywhere. And the Reds, there is no such thing as playoff success for the Cincinnati Reds. So B plus there. Suffering, average. I would like to think it's above average, being a Reds fan and a Jazz fan.
Does that mean you're suffering more or less?
Less. B plus is less. Like there hasn't been a ton of suffering. Or maybe, well, move for a second. Let's
No.
see. Okay.
No.
Because we'll be able to tell better with yours, because yours are you have some pain. And then current trajectory, every team is just down right now. There's nothing like there's things to look forward to in the next 5 years, but nothing beyond that. Overall grade is a B. So I think that means essentially I'm loyal to my franchises, and despite them being buns. So Zane, go ahead with your report card.
Okay. We're going to start NFL, NBA, NHL. I'm a Titans fan. My middle name is Titan. I was a kid.
You're not,
obviously.
so you're not a Ravens fan. I always thought you were a Ravens fan. Or
I
both.
am, but this is like who your fan. When did you start? Right?
2001, you were born?
Yes, and I does that not make sense? That
He goes, yes.
I was born with the middle name Titan. As soon as I figured out what football was, the people with my middle name obviously became my football team. So it felt like on this survey, I should choose the Titans instead of the Ravens. I really like the Ravens. They are the guys that I root for. I root for them more than the Titans, but the Titans are my team because they have the same name as me. Does that make sense?
Sure.
So that is the reason for the Titans. Same middle name. It was the first team I ever said, yes, this is my team. And then we go to the OKC Thunder. Very simple.
Where the fuck did this come from?
I was a fanboy of Russell Westbrook. I really liked him.
Okay, because
I
he's a
really-
running back.
He was the running back of the NBA. Yes, he was. Just anybody who's like super athletic, love him. You know,
Derrick Rose.
yeah, like Derrick Rose, love him. Point guards in general, except for Steph Curry. Steph Curry is just a shooting point guard. I really love point guards because they arguably are the most athletic because they are the shortest, but they still need the ability to drive to the rim and dunk and also shoot from the 3-point. I really was fascinated by the point guard position. And Russell Westbrook, obviously, incredibly athletic. And then the Oilers, the reason why I'm a fan of the Oilers is because the Titans are the Oilers. Or like they would be the Oilers, like if the Oilers were still an NFL team. That's the only reason why I know nothing about hockey.
How original.
Yeah, that's the only thing. I just connected Titan. And Houston keeps saying that Houston should be the Oilers. I don't really know the lore behind that, but either way, Oilers, Titans. Titans wear the Oilers uniforms. They're mine. So let's get into the stats. Championships. F.
An F.
Nobody's won a championship yet out of my teams.
The Oilers are on. The Oilers could this year on Monday, Game 7. They came back from down 3-0 in the Stanley Cup final. I'll be watching it. Little
There we
watch
go.
party Monday. Little watch party.
That goes from an F to a D.
Little watch
Thunder-
party.
Yeah, maybe a little watch party. The Thunder could potentially win a championship. They're looking pretty good this year, right, Dev?
Well, the season's over, but in the coming years, yeah, they
Okay,
potentially
you don't have
could.
to be a prick about it. In the coming years, you knew what I was saying. You knew what I was saying. You decided to be an asshole.
I'm just returning the favor.
You know?
I'm just returning the
Decided
favor.
to be an asshole.
Just
you know?
returning the favor.
Titans, even though I love Will Levis, nowhere near winning a Super Bowl at all. I think
Watch them make the playoffs this year.
They probably will. I believe that Will Levis will be one of the most fun quarterbacks to watch ever for how he just like plays the game of football.
Yeah.
But it is more likely that he pulls a DeMar Hamlin than they win the Super Bowl with his play style and how he just does not care how much this guy weighs. He threw a pick. He's going to run into this 300-pound D lineman on the goal line head first right into him and then get trucked. Regular season success is a B. Obviously, because the Thunder's really good. The Titans were close. I want to say they were close this year to winning to going into the playoffs. Even then, they've had Derrick Henry, who has willed them into the playoffs. And
Ryan Tannehill years were good.
Ryan Tannehill years, Marcus Mariota years, all those. And obviously the Oilers are good. You know, it's a very bandwagon hockey team to pick at the same time. Playoff success is a D because we had
in the NFL, at least, you guys were like 1-out every year.
Yeah, we were 1-out every year with Derrick Henry and Marcus Mariota. NBA, did we go past the first round?
Yeah, there's been years where there was a year that you guys made the finals, and then there was a couple years where you guys were in the conference finals, but ultimately ended up, in turmoil with the way you guys lost out.
And that's probably why we're at a D right there. And then suffering. What's over here?
Excessive suffering.
excessive suffering.
It has been excessive suffering, especially from just the way you guys have gone out in a lot of these playoff series and games.
It's been excessive suffering for sure. None of my teams are doing great at all. If I put the Ravens in here, it'd be a different story. But, I'm a man of my word. I'm a man of my stones. And I'm here with the Titans. Titans to the Super Bowl next year. Maybe the Titans should start being like Cowboys fans, and we're just like, this is the year of the Super Bowl. So then we at least do good in the regular season. That'd be an upgrade, right? But yeah, I am suffering excessively. I want to eat a shotgun for dinner tomorrow, all of that great stuff. A 9mm bullet, put it in my pasta, stuff around that, stuff like that. Rat poison just so happens to fall inside of my bowl of cereal in the morning. There's a lot of that going on, but current trajectory, we are improving. We're on the up.
Thunder are improving. The Titans could make the playoffs. The Oilers are in the Stanley Cup in Game 7 on Monday. It's improving.
Now, I have 3 nails just full, like 100%, like a carpenter came in and whacked them down onto my Johnson. They're 100% all the way down, pushed down into the board that is connected to. But we are slowly bringing those nails up. One would say we are improving the certain position that we are in, slowly pulling the nails out. And then I am a D+ for overall, because all of my franchises are buns, but they're not the worst. There could be worse. You got to think positive in these things.
Could be worse. You could be an Oakland A's fan.
Yeah, I could have 4 nails in my Johnson.
You could.
Instead of 3. Got to praise the Lord for that. Praise the Lord.
Just something fun.
Oh, there was a crazy one.
All right, just give us something wild.
Let me find the actual crazy one. I didn't even read. This is the actual crazy one. This guy's actually insane. Okay.
Okay, do you want me to read it or do you want to read it?
No, I can read it. I can read it. Okay. This is a crazy LeBron fan talking about the video we put out about why people hate LeBron, and he has a lot to say here, obviously.
Is this the stealing aura video?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, it is that one. Random stranger says traditionally people like their superstars to at least have semblance of humility, or at least pretend to be. People dislike LeBron because there have been some memorable moments where he really came off as arrogant / full of himself. The quotation marks, taking my talents to NBA TV event of leaving Cleveland. The not 1, not 2, not 3 rally with Wade and Bosch, where they officially joined the Heat. The terrible optics of seemingly sliding with China over the Daryl, what's his name? Daryl Morey?
Mm-hmm.
Over the Daryl Morey tweet over Hong Kong. His constant self-proclamation that he's the GOAT despite having less championships and MVPs than Jordan, and then all the slim Rich Paul / clutch stuff. Just a lot of things accumulating over the years that aren't really that big of a deal, but compound together, and it just feels off and rubs a lot of neutral audiences off the wrong way. Nobody disputes his talents and skills as a basketball player, but his image / and branding moves.
Dude.
Shut up! His image and branding moves haven't been perfect in social media age, where hyper scrutiny over the handful of flaws / mistakes you have in the norm.
You added and made up like 6 different words in there and left a bunch out.
It's called English. It's called American, motherfucker. Get with the times.
That was the most choppy reading of all time. He just made the case of.
He made the case that I'm right, that people don't like him personally.
Right, and I don't. And gosh,
there's a lot there. There is a lot there.
There is a
broke
lot
it
there.
down. He broke down a lot of things where he is talking about all of the little things that LeBron does that compile into a whole of the reasons why they hate LeBron.
Yeah,
And he said it himself, like nobody really hates LeBron for how he plays.
right.
Even though while he said that, he literally did say up here that he's the GOAT despite having less championships and MVPs than Jordan. So
Yeah.
he said that nobody like talks crap about how he plays, but then he threw in a shot that he has less championships and MVPs. So he was talking crap on how he plays. Little bit of a hypocrite from random stranger.
I can see where you are coming from when it comes to the media that's 50 plus, but anyone under that age, it's like
Oh,
they
you're calling
love
him old?
LeBron.
You're calling him old now.
What, the media?
No, you're calling random stranger old.
No.
What are you calling him?
He's on my side.
He's
Saying that
on my
not
side.
hated.
No, he is on my side saying that he's hated for his personality.
I thought he was saying that despite all this, they still like him. Scroll to the top again real quick.
To the top. All right. Let me go. I am understanding this as he is saying that people dislike him for his personality.
He's saying that people, oh, yeah, no.
Yeah,
Okay,
the
yeah,
taking
you're right.
my talents to Miami, leaving
Jesus,
Cleveland.
dude, just stop trying to read. You illiterate swine.
You're an asshole. You know that. You see a kid who has something special about him, and you're in a basketball game and you want to dunk on him. That's the type of man you are.
Either way, I can see where you're coming from. I think the general population that's under the age of 50 thinks that LeBron's pretty okay.
Under the age of 50, it's crazy.
I think they think he's pretty okay. Outside of that, they're gonna hate because they're gonna be on their knees for
Well,
Jordan.
I think when a guy proclaims to be the best, it just brings in that hate. It's hard to like a guy who says he's the best.
I mean, Jordan did everything but say he was the best. So
yeah,
I mean,
so did Tom Brady, and people
right.
hate Tom Brady, but
So I don't
at the same time,
I don't get that part of it. I get the other stuff that he's talking about, the optics,
when
but
it comes
yeah.
to the Colorado Buffalo, right? You would be on my side in this debate here. You do not like that Colorado says they are
But
as
they
good as
have
they do because they don't
but
perform.
right, but LeBron has performed.
So you'd be fine if Shador won a championship and then said he's the best college quarterback to ever exist. And
Maybe not
look at my
ever
role.
exist. Maybe not ever exist.
Yes, but that's basically the argument here. Like, are we going to pull straws here or are we going to get to the meat?
I think LeBron has a good case to be the best of all time in a lot of different lights, and we can talk about that more next week.
I agree with you, but does him saying that he is the best overall, does that make him disliked by other people?
We'll talk about it more next week because we have a minute.
That is true. Let's wrap it up.
All right. So
My Johnson is hard.
Shut up. So this week, for the entirety of the pod, we went through the Lakers head coaching hire for JJ Redick, Brandon Aiyuk's trade rumors, our fan report cards, and then Angel Reese and our favorite comment from this week. We'll talk more about that comment next week. I'm Devin. That's Zane. And this is Buffet Sports. It's all you can eat, baby. You can find us on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram at buffet.sports. We post every day. If not twice a day, we do this comment, show, and